Listen, I know what you're thinking. Mobile games are the scum of the earth. And to some extent, you're correct. If you've ever gotten an ad for a mobile game, either while playing a mobile game or watching YouTube, the ad will usually misrepresent what is actually in their game. By lying to the player right away, most of these mobile games have already formed a negative relationship. This would be far more forgivable, but 9 times out of 10, the app will throw an ad that lasts 30 seconds within the first 5 minutes of the game. These ads are usually skippable, but you have to click an X that is too small or have to click the X more than once to get rid of it. No one is mistakenly clicking that X. No good developer would want you to click it twice. They would understand that their ad didn't connect with you and move on with their day. What these numerous and exploitative developers who make you click the X twice are trying to do is bait you into accidentally clicking outside the 5 pixels that would let you skip the ad. This is aggravating to anyone above the age of 7, since most people above the age of 7 have played a decent game before and have a basic understanding of what decent game design looks like. These mobile ads actually take you away from playing the game. It would be more forgivable if it was a one-time thing, but it usually isn't. This is because the developers of these mobile games are actually clones of Hitler. They hate fun and only want the money from their games. They don't care about making a gaming experience that is fun. They care about making a gaming experience solely for the money. There's so many ads in almost every game you can download from the App Store, it makes it hard to find any mobile games that are worth playing. But that isn't everything about what makes mobile games so hard to enjoy. For the 1 million games that make almost all their money through ads, there are about 1 million more that make their money through microtransactions. Sometimes you even get games that have both. These countless microtransactions have created some of the worst gaming experiences possible for me. For example, I just recently downloaded the ripoff of Golf With Your Friends known as Golf Battle from the App Store. I thought to myself, this is kinda fun, and kept playing it for a few days. However, I realized that if you lost too many matches at the most expensive courses, you would lose all of your coins. If that was a bit confusing, let me explain how Golf Battle works. To play on any course, there's a price you have to pay in coins. The only way to get your money back and profit from playing a course is by finishing in the top 3 out of 6 players. By finishing in first, second, and third place, more often, you will also level up. Leveling up also unlocks new courses that were previously unplayable. So where does the problem come in? It comes in when you pay too many coins just to finish in 4th place or lower. You could lose 100,000 coins by just playing and losing in 2 courses. Then you end up being stuck playing the less expensive and less interesting courses where it is more difficult to come back. You think to yourself, how will I ever get out of here? There must be some way to climb back to the top and be better than all my Facebook friends once again, and there are, but both of them come at a price. The first option is more sensible, but will also make the game far less fun to you. You'd have to play for 7 hours or so and get back to the top where you will eventually get knocked down again. Not a great option. What about the second one? The second option is fast, but may cause you to miss a mortgage payment on your house. You can pay your way to get back to the top. Just spend real-life money on the coins and it'll be like nothing ever happened. This method of getting users to pay with real-life money is so common in every free app that it makes EA's microtransactions look tame. Now I understand that these developers have to make money somewhere or else they could lose their job, but should microtransactions really be the focus of these games? I don't think they should, but I'm also not a game developer. With all of these problems that plague mobile apps, it becomes difficult to find any that are entertaining or fun for even more than a day. However, I believe that I have found 10 apps that are worthy for playing at least 2 days, maybe even 2 days and a half. I'm not going to say that these apps are definitively the best ones out there, because I know that it is my personal experience with these apps that made them so enjoyable for me. With all that said, let's kick it off with number 10. Number 10 may come as a surprise since it follows the outlines of what I have said bad apps are, but I have had many good memories involving my parents with these games. Candy Crush and all of the other games that King have produced are an absolute phenomenon. They are widely popular among boomer moms and dads, which is understandable since it is praised as an extremely addictive game in almost all articles I've seen about them. Most parents, including mine, have only played the most basic of games when they were a kid. Games like Pac-Man and other games on arcade machines that were popular in the early 80s were designed very similarly to Candy Crush. Not in terms of gameplay, mind you, but how they would make money. If you failed in Pac-Man, the only way to play it again was to give that machine more pocket change. In Candy Crush, you don't have to give the game more money, but if you lose your 5 lives, you have to wait 2.5 hours to get them all back again. A simple way to get them back is to pay to get more lives, which is exactly what most parents did when they wanted to play an arcade game again. Now, the reason I like Candy Crush was because it was a game in which I could compete against my parents. We didn't do it through Facebook or anything like that, we just tried to see who would get to the furthest level. This is when I had the most fun with the game. It allowed me to compete against my mom in a video game when she normally would never play something that I was interested in. In fact, to give you some fresh perspective on how much my mom didn't play games with me, the last time she played a game with me that wasn't on her mobile device was Wii Sports in 2009. It's been 11 years and she still hasn't played a game with me on a console. What was cool about Candy Crush is I didn't have to force my parents to play this game with me because they were the ones who actually wanted to play. As an only child who did not have the opportunity to play games with their brothers or sisters, I found this to be a great way to play video games and spend time with my family. The fact that they actually wanted to play is what made it fun for me. It wouldn't have even made my dishonorable mentions, let alone my list, if they didn't play it with me. One of the biggest detriments to Candy Crush is that it, like almost every other mobile app, is littered with microtransactions for power-ups or more lives. Though you don't need them to win on every level, there are a handful of levels that are very difficult to complete without them. It also wants you to rope in your friends from Facebook by enticing you with rewards for asking people to join you in Candy Crush. This is annoying because I assume that if you have a Facebook friend, unlike me by the way, who doesn't want Candy Crush, they could potentially unfriend you if you keep pestering them. Another annoying thing that Candy Crush does is make you lose lives for losing on a level. This is awful game design that was carried over from when arcade games were still popular. While older games had the excuse of being new and limited by hardware capabilities, newer games do not. If I can play Fortnite on my phone, then Candy Crush has no excuse for not being innovative. They simply have too much money to not try something new. Even though you can keep doing the same things over and over again, that doesn't mean you should. Charging people to play your game is fine, but charging a player to continue playing a free game is not. No developer who actually likes a game will punish you for failing by making you not able to play anymore. Number 9 is a game you may have heard of if you're into golf games and being an absolute unit. Vista Golf is an extremely simple golf game. It focuses on being relaxing, which is why there are very few ads. In fact, the only ads in the game that I have found were optional. If you miss a shot, you can redo it if you watch an ad. I think this is a much better idea than just forcing someone to watch an ad after every hole. It lets the people who want to just play the game have fun while making money off the people who take the game too seriously. Another fun thing about this game is that after you complete a course, you can see where you rank in comparison to other players from around the world, which pushes you to play it again. Also, after every week, 3 new courses are added into the game, replacing the old one. This gives the game some replayability, but not a lot, since even the new courses that are added in each week are similar to the last ones in color and layout. What makes Vista Golf number 9 and not higher on the list is that it is too simple. There are different ways you can hit the ball, like off the wall instead of straight, or some bank shot, but if you play it enough, it all starts to blend together, making them feel similar. Vista Golf was what got me interested enough to watch the PGA Tour for 5 minutes, so I guess that's pretty good. I don't really like watching golf, by the way. The next game on my list is actually the first one that costs money to get, so I assume that only people like Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, and myself currently own it. Tiny Wings is a really old game. It was released just when the Fortnite players were being born in February 2011. This game has an arcade-like feel by pushing you to get higher and higher scores every time you play. Because it costs money to get the game, there are no ads in it. There's nothing really bad I can say about the game because almost everything is at surface level, similar to most arcade games from the 80s. You hold down your finger to make the bird go down and release so that it can fly higher in the sky. If you hold down on it when the bird is not going down a hill and dive headfirst into an incline of the hill, you will lose. It is very simple to understand, but hard to master, so it's basically the Dark Souls of bird games. My favorite times I've had while playing this game were when my dad's friends were over and I could just avoid listening to them by playing this game. It sounds kind of harsh to his friends, but I was less than 12 years old when this came out and did not care about football, which was a subject that came up often. The gameplay of Tiny Wings was enticing enough for me when I was under 12 to create a positive experience with the game. If I were to play the same game now, I know that I probably would not like it. It's far too simple to entertain me anymore. Most of this list consists of games just like this. Games that I enjoyed fondly when I was younger, but would have a hard time enjoying at my current age. But I had a great time with Tiny Wings when I played it, and I'm glad that it's on this list. Number 7 is Minecraft, but with guns. That's right, it's Pixel Gun. Pixel Gun was actually the first FPS I've ever played, and it was awesome when it first came out. There were so many weapons you could get in the game and do team deathmatches with. If I had Minecraft at the time though, I know that I wouldn't have played it. Pixel Gun was too clunky in its controls, especially the jumping. I mean, look at how long it takes for this pixelated guy to jump. Where are we supposed to be? Mars? Even with the clunky controls derived from Martians, what made this game great was its simplicity. Where in previous games mentioned on this list, simplicity held them back from being great, here it was what made it quite epic. Shoot the bad guys with the gun and upgrade guns with coins earned in-game. There were many different guns in this game, and most of them offered unique abilities. You could trade off damage for rapid fire by choosing one gun, or trade off rapid fire for high damage by picking another one. I remember that there used to be a gun in the game that could shoot through walls at any distance and looked like an Eye of Ender from Minecraft. This was my favorite weapon in the whole game because it was broken and overpowered as shizzle. I think that it initially killed people in 2 hits, and then they nerfed it to 3. Also, when the game came out, you could see people's names through the walls, so just try imagining that. However, now it is not even worth buying. I understand that you have to balance the game to make it fair, but did you really have to turn it into such a weak weapon? This game also had a campaign mode that was exciting and is still one of the best parts about the game to this day, in my opinion. You would go through different levels, killing different kinds of enemies in each one. Also, at the end of each level, there was a boss that was uniquely designed. I mean, this game was made to be on a mobile device. The only reason that it is much lower on my list is because it is so bad to play today. It is just as clunky as when it came out, and has way too much stuff to do that doesn't make sense to have in this kind of game. In what kind of world do pets help you in a pixel-based first-person shooter? It just doesn't work for me like it used to. It got too cluttered with different modes for it to be fun for me anymore, and that's why it landed at number 7. Next up is basically a Shaun White simulator. Ski Safari is so much fun to play. I know that all you do in this game is flip and then get a higher score, but I really enjoyed it. I actually started out playing this game with my dad, and we would compete to see who could get the furthest, similar to what we did while playing Candy Crush, just minus my mom. Looking back on my experience with the game, I don't think I had a bad time playing it at all. While I may have gotten mad at the actual mechanics of games previously, I didn't hear. It made sense when you lost. That's your fault for being trash. The only criticism I can give to Ski Safari is that it, like most other mobile apps, is very surface level. The only thing that makes you go faster is a flip. That's all you can do. You could switch from flipping while on skis to flipping while on other animals or other different things. For example, there was a Yeti that would walk normally until he got hit by running into a rock. After that, he was able to do flips, but not as well as Sven on his skis or the penguin. Speaking of the penguin, it could take only one hit before it would force you to dismount. There was an eagle as well that would let you go high into the sky and to then come back down at supersonic speeds. The final thing you could do flips on was a snowmobile. Though it didn't flip as fast as the Yeti or Penguin, it was much faster on the ground. Another thing about this game that was really unique was the music. Very few mobile apps will have music that fits the game as well as Ski Safari's does. It is fun and lighthearted just like the game. In addition to the basic Ski Safari game, there was a different version of Ski Safari that was released with characters from Adventure Time. I didn't play that one as much as the basic Ski Safari, but that was because I had already gotten bored with Ski Safari and quit playing it. That is the main problem with any game though. You have fun with it and then you get bored and move on. It is rare that a game will ever bring you back time and time again with the same wonder that it had when you first got it. But if you're looking for a fun way to relax and challenge your index finger a little bit, you can't go wrong with Ski Safari. Going on to number 5, we have Pokemon Go. I don't think anyone would be surprised that it made the list, but surprised that it's only number 5. Pokemon Go was actually created by Vice President Hillary Clinton in 2016.
How we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
This game was an absolute phenomenon, and still is today. So many people downloaded it that it was addressed by nearly every news station on Earth. However, the way most media outlets addressed the game was in a negative way. They would point out how being distracted while walking on a crosswalk could get you hit by a car. But what they failed to mention is that on the other side of the road, there was a Charizard. The kids wouldn't have done it for a stupid rat. Maybe a Blastoise every now and again, but not for a rat. In addition to the media dissing Pokemon Go, almost every YouTube channel reviewed it as well. However, those guys' opinions don't matter. This is my list. We're here to talk about what made the game special to me. The game basically allowed you to catch Pokemon in real life, even though almost everyone turned off that feature because they couldn't catch any Pokemon. To me, being able to catch Pokemon in real life was epic. When I was much younger in elementary school, I would go on the playground and pretend that I was a Pokemon and wishing so hard that Pokemon would be real someday. Pokemon Go fed off those nostalgic memories that people had when they were kids, and I was no different. However, when I first got Pokemon Go, I realized that I was at a massive disadvantage. I lived in a sparsely populated area with only 2 Pokestops within walking distance. They often had few Pokemon at them as well. This would have been fine to me, just get a few Pokemon every day and be happy with what I got. But then I saw that one of my friends was being driven by their dad to go get Pokemon downtown 3 to 4 times a week. I so badly wanted to compete with him, but knew that I would never be able to since my dad would not have driven me downtown so many times. It became apparent to me that I would need to cheat in order to keep up with him. So, I found a hack and downloaded it to my phone. Within days, I had captured nearly every Pokemon. Even though I was cheating, I still had to work hard. I stayed up late at night just trying to find the next new Pokemon, just trying to catch them all. After I had done so, I bragged about it to everyone when school started up again. I even lied about not cheating so that everyone would be impressed. What a stupid lie. After I'd caught every Pokemon that you could in Gen 1, I stopped playing the game and so did many others. Then it was announced that Pokemon Go would be getting Gen 2 in February. So I started getting my hacks ready and was going to catch them all once again. I did it within days, and it made me feel sad actually. In the second round of Pokemon Go, basically no one from my school played it. They were playing things like Clash Royale and Clash of Clans. I couldn't impress the kids who went to my school anymore because they frankly didn't care. That's when I realized I wasn't playing the game so that I could have fun anymore. I was playing it so that I could impress others. Pokemon Go taught me a valuable lesson. You have to do things that make you happy first. If you don't do that, then you're just wasting your time. What is sad about Pokemon Go is that I know I could have enjoyed it if I just kept playing it without cheating. Pokemon Go have more recently finished releasing the 4th generation of Pokemon and are going to be releasing the 5th on September 16th of this year. Having that many Pokemon to look for instead of just the 1st gen one would have been great if that's how it was when it was released, but it's not. I ruined the game for myself by being impatient. This makes me kind of sad now because I know that if I didn't cheat in the game, it could have easily been number 1. All in all, Pokemon Go is a great game now, and I would very highly recommend it to anyone looking for an excuse to escape your house. Number 4 will come as a surprise to you if you've never played it, but Drive Ahead is one of the most fun games with cars you will ever play. There are so many things that make this game great. The music, the variety of cars, the different maps, and the different challenges that you will always be trying to finish. I had 2 separate points in my life in which I was addicted to this game, and each time was an absolute blast. Each level that you completed had replayability to it because you could get coins for completing it again, or complete it with a different car. With these coins, you could get new cars from a machine. There were unique things about each of these cars that made getting even the common ones fun. There was a garbage truck that would let out trash that could hit drivers in the head, an ice cream truck with a detachable ice cream at the top of it, and one car that had a tank in the back of it that could shoot a projectile. Those are just 3 out of the 149 vehicles that are now in the game. What was unique about Drive Ahead is that there wasn't one dominant car. You knew that even if you were going up against a car bigger than yours, that you could always outplay the other car. Sure, you may have been at a disadvantage at first, but if you played your cards right, you could make even the monster truck fear your baby carriage. Though I didn't learn a life lesson like I did with Pokemon Go, this game still meant a lot to me. You'd be hard-pressed to find any arcade games that are as fun as this one, and that's why it's number 4. Number 3 is a game that is very similar to Enter the Gungeon and The Binding of Isaac. Soul Knight is a game that involves you shooting at enemies as you traverse through multiple different floors of a dungeon until you get to the final boss. There's so much variety in types of enemies and weapons that makes this game so replayable. I died around 50 times before I had a run that ended with me beating the final boss, but you know what? It was always fun. When I lost, I was mad, of course, but I knew that I would be going going back to a different experience each time. There are also different upgrades you can have in this game after clearing a certain amount of floors. There's one that lets you hold another weapon, one that makes you immune to poison damage, and one that gives you extra health, just to name a few good ones. Another part about Soul Knight that makes it great is that it feels like it could be a PC or console game. It has so much variety compared to other simple mobile games like the Match 3s or games in which you touch some tiles that sound like a piano. There's even variety in characters you play as. Though some of them do cost money to play, there are plenty of others you can get that don't, like the Knight, Assassin, Rogue, or Wizard. And since you start out with the Knight, who is one of the best characters, you don't feel pressured into buying other characters anyways. You only feel curious as to what their powers are. I wish that more people would play this game because it goes far beyond what most people's perceptions of mobile games could be. It even has decent music to go along with the type of game that it is. It is fast and pushes you to clear room after room until you get to the final boss, which will probably beat you even on your 4th encounter. It is challenging in a way that other mobile games aren't. It is what mobile game developers should be looking at when trying to make a new game, but instead they are too busy sniffing glue while they develop games. The game that is number 2 on my list is Crossy Road. It's an old game being released way back in 2014 by the studio Hipster Whale. But just because it's old, that doesn't mean it's bad. It is still quite good and in the top 200 free games on the App Store today. However, what makes it special to me is how I was able to collect so many different characters to play as. I love this part about any game. Having different characters in a game usually means a different experience. Though not all characters have something that is special about them, there are quite a few that do. Doge causes text to appear on screen saying things like, "Much woof." Another character that is pretty unique is the Ghost. The Ghost makes the entire screen darker and changes some of the obstacles from trees into graves or grave diggers. There was also Epoch, who could shoot trees or cars. The amount of personality that each character had made it really exciting for me to get a new one. I was eager to see how each one affected their environment. Another thing that made this game great to me is how addictive it was. Every time I played, I wanted to go further and further. I was so addicted to this game that I got every character in the game within weeks after downloading it. I took this game very seriously as well. The kids at my school all had it, and I would ask what their high score was. If it was higher than mine, I would try my best to beat it. I always did. One time, there was this kid whose score I thought he was lying about until he showed it to me. It was 356, and I was determined to beat it. It took me so long to beat it, but you know what? By the time I had beaten his score, he had transferred to a different school. This didn't matter to me though, because I was just as happy as I would have been if I had been able to tell him in person and rub it in, even though he might not even care. I had numerous experiences similar to this one, where I would beat someone's score in Crossy Road and brag about it in their face. This gives Crossy Road a special place in my heart because I was able to share my experience with others who have played the game. That is why it is above Soul Knight. Even though Soul Knight was far more enjoyable to replay over and over again, I couldn't share it with anyone because no one had heard of it. Everyone knew Crossy Road. Crossy Road might be a simple game, but it has a charm that the top apps like Candy Crush will never have. Before I get to my pick for number 1, I want to take a moment to tell you that WatchMojo has ruined top 10 lists for me, and to take another moment to tell you about my dishonorable mentions and why they didn't make the frickin' list. Bowmasters is not a great game anymore. It lacks the key fun aspect that is present in other games on this list. At least it does now. It has too many ads. After nearly every match there's an ad. It makes it annoying to play, but it wasn't always like this. I don't know if it was just me, but I swear that there weren't nearly as many ads in this game as when I got it originally. It could have easily made my list if there weren't as many ads as there are now. Another dishonorable mention is Angry Birds. It nearly made the list, not just because it was the first mobile game I have ever played, but it was also really good. There were many ways to approach each level and kill the pigs. This was stimulating enough for me in early 2010, but I quickly found other games on consoles that I liked far more. Angry Birds ultimately didn't have enough time with me to establish a connection like the other mobile games did. Next up on my Frick You Didn't Make It list is Adventure Capital list. I really liked this game because it was fun to get upgrades for your lemonade stand and other stands as well. Plus, unlike most games, it was still on while you were away. This made it exciting to come back to the app each time to see how much money you gained. The reason it didn't make the list is because it was way too repetitive. After you had gotten pretty far in the game, it would let you reset to get angels that would help you get through the game faster on your next playthrough. This was awesome at first, but after doing it multiple times, it felt like I was doing the same thing over and over again, and it made the game too boring for me to put it on the list. Also on dishonorable mentions is Clash Royale. Everyone at my school was into this game, including me. I loved it until it became too difficult to advance to a different arena, and I realized that the only way to move up would be to upgrade my cards or to be better at the game, but that is very hard for someone as stupid as I am. And I couldn't upgrade my cards either because I didn't have enough coins. This is where the microtransactions became too obvious and too important to ignore. They were just like a key focus of playing the game, and they shouldn't be. I've said that before. In fact, I said that earlier in this video. In addition to that, I also just had bad luck with the game. I didn't even get my first legendary card until I was almost level 8, and if you've played Clash Royale before, you know that's pretty late. Plus, even in the arena I was in, there could be multiple people who had towers that had more health than mine, or even higher level cards. Next up is Bacon, and I doubt that you've heard of it. It is a very simple game. Make bacon land on stuff and then you win. They get pretty creative with the stuff you have to put bacon on, so I enjoyed it. However, like many other games on my list and my dishonorable mentions list, it was too simple for me to get a lot out of it. Also on my dishonorable mentions list is Minecraft Pocket Edition. The game is really good now, but when I got it originally, there weren't even caves you could dig into. This would have been fine, but I had already seen that the PC version of Minecraft was far superior. I knew that even while I was playing Minecraft Pocket Edition, there was a better version I wasn't playing. A far, far better version. Plus, by the time Minecraft Pocket Edition got caves or anything that the PC version had that made it good, I already had the PC version. I just never got the timing right with it. Last and least on my dishonorable mentions is PUBG Mobile. I was good at it until I realized I was playing against bots. This situation is similar to the Minecraft Pocket Edition one. I enjoyed it at first, but then came to the conclusion that I would have more fun just playing Fortnite on my PS4. Also, PUBG sucks on the PC. That's not important to this list, but I thought that I should say it anyways. Number 1 is obviously No, but seriously, number 1 is Monument Valley 1 and 2. The sole reason I put both of them together was to make room for the other mobile games on the list. Monument Valley 1 and 2 comfort you with relaxing background noise, unlike the dryer that is in the background right now and I kind of want to punch it. Whenever you tell the main character to move Ida, it makes this sound. This subtle detail that happens whenever you click or press your finger down adds to the overall atmosphere of the game, which is a generally relaxing one. Another cool part about these games is how puzzle oriented they are. Nearly every level will make you think outside the box. Plus, for a game with almost no dialogue, it tells an interesting story. The story of Monument Valley 1 is about Ida, and she's stolen a bunch of sacred geometry that she must return to the temples. She meets a ghost and crows and a totem along the way to her final destination. After she's done that, she turns back into a white crow with a crown on her head. The only reason she was a human that couldn't talk was because someone punished her by turning her from a crow into a human after she stole the sacred geometry. So that's the story of the first game, but what about the second one? It involves the creation of Monument Valley from the ground up, from the perspective of a mom named Rose. While you're restoring the geometric pieces that you stole in the first game, in this game you must create them. Also, Rose is trying to bring up her child to show her how to become an architect like her. That is the most powerful part of these games. Their story is far better than any other game on this list. In Crossy Road, all you do is try to get a higher score every time. But why? There's no good reasoning, but the game is still fun. Monument Valley was able to combine gameplay with its story to create the best mobile gaming experience I've ever had. Even though it is not nearly as replayable as some of the other games on this list like Candy Crush, Ski Safari, Soul Knight, or Crossy Road, it doesn't need to be. Its strengths lie in a one-time experience that will change how you look at mobile games forever. Monument Valley 1 and 2 easily take the number 1 spot on my list. So that's basically it. Listen, I know that this video may seem like it gives the mobile gaming market too much praise, but it doesn't. It is just highlighting some of the best games that you can play on your phone, although Candy Crush kinda sucks. Can any of us honestly say, though, that we haven't been addicted to a mobile game? If no, then you're in the minority. My mom is freaking addicted to Candy Crush. I know that someone you know is addicted to a mobile game as well. The power that most mobile games have come from that same power that arcade games had back in the early 80s. They are fun for a while, but get to be redundant over time as you realize that to beat your high score or progress, you'd have to unload all of your change into the machine. The mobile gaming market is not perfect, but that doesn't mean you should completely avoid it. What's important is that we as people try new things and understand how they are bad instead of saying that they are bad before trying it. If you enjoyed listening to me ramble on and on about my favorite mobile games, then be sure to like the video and subscribe, because I'm a small channel now and I want subs and likes to grow the channel so that I can make money and I don't have to go to college. Thank you for watching.